Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are doing our whole back to basics video here where we have gone through primers. We've gone through foundation, we've gone through concealers, and now we're gonna do setting powders. So before we get into setting powders and what they do, I do need to go ahead and do my setting powder. As with the rest of the videos, I have two different sponges here. I have my Juno & Co. and I have my, I have my Luxy Complexion Set Sponge. So this is the powder one. As you can see, it is fairly large in size. Nice and pointed end, and then a nice flat end. We're gonna go in with the Juno & Co. on this side and the Luxy on this. Before I set, I am going to use my Juno & Co. on this side just to make sure there's no creasing. Then I'm going to go in with some Morphe Brightening Pink Setting Powder, and I'm just going to press her in. Seamless and stunning. Alright, so we're going to take our concealer sponge from Luxy on this side. And again, just make sure there's no creasing. And then we're going to take the tip here and we're going to set our under eye with the Luxy. Okay. So much better. Now we can talk setting powders. Had to set my under eye before we moved on. All right, so while I have you here, setting powders. Okay, they are used to set your makeup, leave it in place. They're also used for baking, and we're going to touch on both in this video. And we also have a list, like the rest of the videos, of great products for your skin type. So let's go ahead and start with how you can apply it. For under eye, I highly recommend a damp beauty sponge. So for makeup application, I actually prefer this one. For baking and sponges and like pressing powder in, I actually prefer the Luxy. But we're using both, so you can also go in with a brush. There's a few different brushes. You have a powder brush, which is nice. I usually use it to dust my powder off. And then you have, I think this is actually, nope, okay. Then you have a nice little brush like this, where you can just dip in your powder and tap, 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 tap. I do prefer the larger brushes. They move product around quicker, but when it comes to setting my entire face, I prefer a sponge to press the product into my skin. Now, ultimately, you have four types of setting powder. You have a brightening powder, which is this, the Brightening Pink from Morphe. I believe Fenty has one, Tarte has one. A good bit of people actually make brightening powders. I love to set my face with them as long as the powder is not too pigmented. The brightening one from the Brightening Pink from Morphe works wonders, so I like to set my entire face with it. And then on top of that, it's also a baking powder. So how baking works is you put a relatively decent amount of powder on your face and you let it sit on your face. Your skin heats up and it reacts with the powder along with the liquid product that is underneath the powder and essentially sets that makeup in place for hours. I love it. I swear by it. I do it a lot. Now when it comes to baking, you want to make sure you're using a translucent powder. You do not want to use a colored powder because that is going to change the color of your makeup. So unless you're doing one that is specifically to brighten, you don't want to use a pigmented powder. You want to use a translucent one. Then you also have your glowy powders. Hourglass makes one, L'Oreal makes one, Laura Mercier makes one. Those are not powders you want to use to bake. They tend to have shimmer inside of them. So you just want to use those to pretty much set everywhere but your under eye. Just a heads up. And then you have your mattifying powders. Those are a lot of powders, actually, almost all of them. They're gonna make sure that like they're gonna absorb oils and they're gonna keep your makeup in place. And they're also gonna give you they're gonna flatten your skin. So it's gonna give you more room it's gonna make it easier to contour without worrying about, oh, did I just go over my glowy setting powder? That kind of stuff. Okay, so while we talk about the different powders I've done research on, we're gonna set our face, and I'm using sponges. So one side, which is this side, we're gonna use our Juno & Co. And then on the other side, we're gonna use our Luxie. So what I like to do is just take the bottom of my Juno, tap off the excess, and just press it into my skin. So for dry skin, Beauty Bakery, the flower, their entire line is adorable. I know a bunch of people that don't even have dry skin, mind you, that swear by Beauty Bakery. I personally have not tried any of their products, but everything is baking themed. It's adorable. And they have a nice shade range of powders, actually. Becca Hydra Mist. I have used it. You have seen me use it. I do not like it. I always set my neck as well because I put foundation down there. It goes on. It feels cool. If you don't use it within like a month, it starts to dry out. And then on top of that, it oxidizes my makeup. I'm just not a fan of it. Okay, so now we're going to take the flat end of the Luxie and we're going to do the same thing. And then Flower Beauty has a setting powder as well. I have not used it. I have used a few things from Flower Beauty, and everything I have used is amazing. So, but the person I do know that has used Flower Beauty, the setting powder, said it was amazing. For combo skin, like me, Laura Mercier. Okay, so Laura Mercier goes with everything. I'm just gonna give you a heads up now. Laura Mercier, the Maybelline Fit Me, yeah, they're on pretty much every single section of this list. So if you only hear me list off two, it's because there's either Laura Mercier or the Maybelline Fit Me. Maybelline Fit Me is good for combo skin, oily skin, and to mattify. So we're just gonna move through on that. Laura Mercier works well for everyone's skin. It's a great baking powder. It's a great setting powder. It's just all that jazz. All right, so my face, how I like to make sure my face is set is just gently run my hand over it, which it is. Okay. Oily skin, the Fenty, and then the Becca Soft Light. I've heard great things about both of them. Mature skin, here we go. Okay, so Charlotte Tilbury has an airbrush setting powder. We're gonna actually bake real quick, bake our under eye. I'm taking the Juno and I'm just gonna lightly and that's it, not even that much. And we're gonna do the same thing with the Luxie. Charlotte Tilbury has excellent products. And for mature skin, her airbrush foundation or setting powder is amazing. along with the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance. They have both of them have like nutrient infused powders that just sit on your skin beautifully. For dewy skin, Hourglass Ambient, it is more of a shimmery setting powder. Laura Mercier makes one as well. So make sure you do your contour and all of that before you set. Otherwise, it's just gonna make your contour shimmery. And then it's gonna kind of cut that contour. Yeah, okay. Just beware. Just contour before you set with the Hourglass Ambient and the Laura Mercier Glow. Juice Beauty also makes one. I have not used the Juice Beauty, so I'm not going to speak to it, but I have used their skin products, and I love their skin products, so I imagine that their makeup is on point. And then L'Oreal has a Pro Glow setting powder. I have not heard anything about it. A friend of mine uses it. She always looks fresh, so gotta give it to her. And last is matte. Urban Decay makes an all-nighter setting powder, just like their setting spray. I have heard it is very drying, so if you have dry skin, it is not recommended. And then we have the Maybelline Fit Me and the Fenty. So now we are gonna very quickly move on because you don't want to leave the powder on too long, otherwise you're gonna look ridiculous. So I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the notification bell. When you are done baking, just take your brush and lightly, as you can see on my hand here, just go doop, doop, doop. Always make sure you are fluffing away from your face, and that will just wipe off that excess powder. After you contour, if you want to sharpen that contour, you can go ahead and just take your sponge and go doop. You usually want to do it right about here because your contour is going to sit right under that cheekbone. So I'm going to go so that we can work on contour and bronzing in our next video, and then I will see you guys soon. All right, guys. Hope you're enjoying this series.